When I first moved into Oak Ridge Estates, I thought I'd found peace. The neighborhood was quiet, the lawns were neat, and my porch swing looked out onto a line of maple trees. But that peace lasted all of 2 weeks before I met Karen, our self-appointed queen of the HOA. She showed up at my door one sunny afternoon holding a clipboard thicker than a law book. "Mr. Daniels," she said, her voice dripping with that sugary tone that always hides venom. "Your porch railing color does not comply with community standards." I blinked. "It's white." "Everyone's railing is white." Karen smiled tightly. "Yes, but your shade of white is called winter pearl. The approved shade is Arctic snow." I thought she was joking. She wasn't. That was my first warning. A week later, I got a formal HOA letter accusing me of visual disharmony for leaving a wind chime on the porch. Then another about my recycling bins being visible for over 24 hours. I tried to stay civil. My lawyer friend, Jenna, told me to document everything. "Bullies like this," she said, "only stop when you stand up to them." So I kept records, photos, emails, timestamps. Meanwhile, Karen escalated. She'd patrol the neighborhood at dusk with her phone out, snapping pictures of driveways and lawns. Once, I caught her peering through my fence. Things hit a boiling point one Friday evening when I got home from work to find a violation notice taped directly to my front door. Not in my mailbox, not under the mat, taped right in the center of the glass. "Failure to maintain porch in aesthetic compliance," it read. My crime. A small crack in the corner of one step. That night, Jenna came over. "Let's have dinner on the porch," she said, pulling out her laptop. "You handle the burgers, I'll handle Karen." I didn't know it then, but that simple dinner would set the stage for the showdown none of us saw coming. Because while I was flipping burgers, Karen was lurking across the street, eyes sharp and full of self-righteous fury. And when she finally decided to make her move, to break into my porch and inspect it herself, she had no clue my lawyer was already sitting there, waiting. It happened around 7:30 p.m. The sun had just dipped below the trees, casting the yard in that orange twilight that makes everything seem calm. Jenna and I were sitting on the porch, laptops open, papers spread out. She was drafting a cease and desist letter to the HOA, citing harassment and unlawful entry onto private property. I remember her exact words. "If she steps onto your porch again without permission, it's trespassing." As if summoned by fate, we heard the gate creak. Karen's voice carried through the still air. "This property is under inspection." Jenna raised an eyebrow. "You've got to be kidding me." I stood, stunned, as Karen marched up the steps holding her clipboard like a weapon. She didn't knock, she entered. "Ma'am," Jenna said, standing calmly, "you're trespassing." Karen froze mid-step, clearly not expecting another person there. Her eyes darted to Jenna's laptop, the stacks of legal documents, and the badge on the table that read attorney at law. "Who are you?" she demanded. "I'm his lawyer," Jenna replied smoothly. "And you just violated Section 602 of the State Penal Code, criminal trespass." Karen sputtered, "I'm on the HOA board. I have authority to inspect violations." Jenna tilted her head. "Actually, no. HOA authority doesn't override property rights. You entered without consent, which makes this illegal." I could see the panic rising behind Karen's faux composure. She tried to pivot, claiming she smelled gas and was checking for safety. But Jenna wasn't having it. She clicked record on her phone. "Please, continue," she said. "This will be very useful in court." Karen's face turned crimson. "Court? You can't." "Oh, we can," Jenna cut in. "And we will. You'll receive a notice within 72 hours. That's when Karen did something I'll never forget. She stomped her foot like a child, snatched a photo of my porch with her phone, and shouted, "You people think you can ignore the rules." Then she stormed off, muttering about legal threats and ungrateful homeowners. When she was gone, Jenna smiled, cool and victorious. "You just won the neighborhood lottery," she said. "Because that woman just gave us everything we need." Little did we know, the video we'd captured would soon go viral, and Karen's days as HOA tyrant were numbered. By Monday morning, word had spread faster than wildfire. Jenna had posted the porch footage privately to our HOA's internal complaint portal, intended only for board review. But within hours, it leaked. The video showed everything: Karen declaring inspection, entering uninvited, and being calmly dismantled by a lawyer who knew the law better than Karen knew her own bylaws. The reactions were explosive. Neighbors who'd been too afraid to speak up flooded my inbox. Stories poured out: unjust fines, arbitrary warnings, threats over mailbox paint colors, and unauthorized flower beds. Turns out, Karen had been terrorizing the entire community for years. By Tuesday, someone posted the video to social media. Within a day, it hit 1.2 million views under the caption, "HOA Karen gets schooled by lawyer on porch." The comments were brutal and glorious. People tagged friends, joked about starting HOA defense clubs, and praised Jenna like a hero. Memes of Karen clutching her clipboard circulated everywhere. The HOA board called an emergency meeting that Wednesday. Karen showed up late, clearly shaken but still trying to maintain her smug air of authority. She blamed editing, misinterpretation, and a smear campaign. But the board wasn't buying it. Jenna attended as my representative. She presented the trespassing footage, HOA bylaws, and legal precedents. The board's lawyer went pale. Finally, the chairwoman cleared her throat. "Mrs. Dawson," she said carefully, effective immediately, "your position on the board is suspended pending investigation." Karen's jaw dropped. "You can't." "Oh, but they can," Jenna replied sweetly. The meeting ended with applause from homeowners who'd been waiting years for justice. As we walked out, Karen glared at us from across the room, seething with humiliation. But she wasn't done. The next morning, I found a letter shoved into my mailbox. No envelope, just a folded sheet in aggressive handwriting. "You think you've won. But you haven't. This neighborhood will regret siding with you." Jenna read it and sighed. Classic bully move. Let her dig her own hole. But deep down, I knew Karen wouldn't go quietly. And I was right, because the next move she made would push everything over the edge. 2 weeks later, everything came to a head. Karen had filed a community lawsuit against me and Jenna, claiming we'd defamed her character and endangered HOA integrity. She even tried to rally the few board loyalists left. But they distanced themselves fast. Court day arrived on a chilly Thursday morning. The hearing was small, just a preliminary motion, but it felt monumental. I sat beside Jenna, nervous, while Karen strutted in wearing her trademark pastel blazer, clutching her infamous clipboard like a shield. When the judge asked for opening remarks, Karen went first. Her speech was a rambling tirade about disrespect, neighborhood order, and civic responsibility. She kept waving printouts of the viral video, claiming it was doctored. Then Jenna stood, calm, controlled, unshakable. "Your Honor," she began, "the defendant unlawfully entered private property without consent. On record, while claiming false authority. My client's recording is not defamation, it's evidence." She laid out timestamps, state trespass laws, and HOA charter limitations. Within 10 minutes, Karen's entire argument fell apart. The judge sighed. "Mrs. Dawson, you have no legal standing. The case is dismissed." But Jenna wasn't done. "Your Honor, we're filing a counterclaim for harassment and invasion of privacy." Karen's face drained of color. By the end of the hearing, the judge ordered Karen to pay court costs and issued a formal warning for repeated misconduct. Outside the courthouse, reporters were waiting. The story had exploded: local news, HOA watchdog blogs. Even morning talk shows were covering it. Jenna gave one short statement. No one is above the law, not even an HOA board member. That night, the neighborhood was electric. People came by my porch, some with cookies, others just to say thank you. The once feared Karen had resigned. Her clipboard confiscated by the board. And peace finally returned to Oak Ridge Estates. As I sat on my porch swing, wind chime jingling softly, Jenna raised her glass of lemonade. To boundaries, she said. I smiled. And to lawyers who hang out on porches. We clinked glasses as the sunset bathed the street in gold. Karen's house across the way stood dark and empty. Her reign of terror officially over. The HOA still sends newsletters. But now they start with a new motto, one Jenna suggested herself. Respect your neighbors. The porch has eyes.